It's dumb. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. That was the thought that I had.
Well, good.
You have any thoughts?
Well, we could talk about stoicism again, and I could keep trying to convert you.
You could do that, or we could actually do something useful.
So now you're admitting that you're stubborn and won't accept advice.
Speaking of the immovability, no. I mean,
What about it don't you like? We've established that it's not a rejection of emotion, so then what else?
I don't know that I have enough of a knowledge that I really have a problem with it specifically. I just don't. I have not engaged it enough to really fully say this is what I...
That's all I'm saying is maybe you should engage it.
Well, maybe.
So why don't you?
I don't know. I mean, ultimately, I'm engaging quite a few things right at this moment. Why aren't you...
Okay, I was smacking it. Okay. I will find you. Cool, alright. How do I get there? Of course I can get there from here, because that would be just peachy. Well, what questions do you have about it that I might be able to answer? To persuade you.
Well, I mean, I don't...
do you just not have any interest in it?
I don't believe...
Or do you don't think it
fully
answers your questions that you may or may not have?
unpacked the...
I don't want any of these. What? That's an awkward image.
What? I'm trying to differentiate what your flavor of stoicism is versus...
Well, it's heavily Taoist influenced, I can't deny, but I don't think that that's... I would defend that is not an aberration. I think it's actually an expansion. Because I do think that there is... Hi. Dadgummit, I was going to try to get the gun guy at least. I don't think it's unfair for me to combine the two, because I think they actually share quite a lot. And so combining them, I think, is to the benefit of both. But I suppose it might mean that my version would sound perhaps not quite the same as a more classical, purely Western-focused version. But it's essentially what it comes down to is what I've been describing, is you can't... It's actually, because really, I suppose, more than the Taoism, it's more, I suppose, akin to the sort of Buddhist principle that, you know, the cause of your suffering is usually desiring things you can't have. By which I mean... When you want things to be different than they are, that's the source of your problems, and Stoicism would agree with that.
I mean,
well, but that's when it's a matter of what's within your power. Because again, I don't think the Buddhists would say that you're not allowed to desire anything ever. Well, maybe they would actually. That's why I think of Zen as being slightly more holistic. Buddhism is a little bit. Again, it's sort of like Buddhism's the cynicism, whereas Taoism's the skepticism. It's like Buddhism's like all attachments and all desires are bad. Taoism's more like it's only when your desires are out of whack. And again, Stoicism similar. It's like if you... Because the fundamental concept is accepting the things that are out of your control, and that frees up your focus to focus on the things you can control. So if you want things to be different than they are and you have control over them, yes, then that could lead to innovation. But if you want things to be different than they are and you don't have that capacity, then you just have to let them go. And that might sound like giving up, but in some ways it's accepting just reality.
Sure.
Wait, this is the way I was going, so I am supposed to go this way.
I don't know that it's particularly Stoicism that I have a problem with. I think even in our past discussions, there have been times that, like, even within the context of emotion and all that kind of stuff, that we have at the end of that discussion, you and I both arrived at a similar place, but I think still on opposite ends of the similar place, which is that I essentially said you need both in order to be a healthy individual, and you essentially said yes, and yet you can be a healthy and functional
I didn't say healthy. I'd like to point out I very specifically acknowledge that it wouldn't be healthy, but that you could.
But I would
That's
say,
all, and that was only in defense of.
but I think it's that you're if I could.
Well, this will potentially lead into a topic I also wanted to get into. So
within the context of psychology, people that are not the sociopath but the psychopath are those that it's not that they feel emotion to a lesser level or anything like that. They literally don't have the same capacity to feel emotion, and it's not oh yeah, but logic can see them through. That actually makes their logic itself faulty, because there are many cases in which psychopaths particularly will, like, okay, I killed all these people or whatever else, but then they don't bother, for instance, to run from the scene or to, like, they essentially just.
Well, but see, there's a difference between psychopaths and sociopaths, which is precisely that, though. The difference between psychopaths and sociopaths is that, and the problem is every time I've tried to clarify it, someone says it's the opposite of what it is.
No,
it's either psychopaths are the ones who act on impulse and don't have don't have that sort of long-term planning, and sociopaths are the other way, or it's reversed. But the point is, one of them is the more. I mean, there's the serial killers, which are sort of the methodical, plan things out, and there's the logic aspect, and then there's the sort of impulsive, just I act based on what I want, and that's all.
What I'm saying is psychopathy different from sociopathy. Sociopathy is typically they still have some sort of a end game, whether it be logical or emotional, whereas psychopaths, there is an actual element where their emotional component or capacity is literally missing.
I don't think
like they don't have the ability to. They can copy the pattern of what they see when it comes to things like love or care or even something like fear or anything like that, but they don't actually experience any of those emotions.
Yeah,
so in the same,
What? This is never an ability I've had.
Structural weak. What?
Pull down a weak wall. Okay, this is a little bit excessive, Batman. I know you've been hitting the roids. I know you've been hitting the roids, but even that I don't think would do this. I thought I had to explode that somehow, but that I don't quite buy.
I'm so freaking yoked. That's right.
Well, yeah, it is apparently.
But
skittery.
My point and I'm using, I grant you, I wouldn't say I'm straw manning it, but I am certainly using the lowest common denominator to say, okay, that represents.
Those look an awful lot like stairs, don't they?
An extreme case where emotion is completely devoid of a person, and even the capacity to emote and feel and actually process any sort of feeling or in that context, and that actually affects the way that their logic works as well.
But that arguably that would be you could just as easily explain that as being part of the psychosis, and that's not a matter of, it isn't their emotions lacking that makes them illogical.
It is.
Well, no, because you've just conceded that a sociopath is the opposite, where they have equally an incapacity to feel emotion, or it's not.
No,
it's not an incapacity to feel emotion. It's a.
They in fact, sociopaths actually use emotion to manipulate.
Yeah, but they don't feel them. Or I mean,
no, they do.
Well, no,
sociopaths do.
No, see, this is where I think you draw too fine a distinction, where it's like, one person's totally devoid and the other one isn't. I think it's the fact. Okay, well, that screwed that up, hitting that rock. Okay, rude. the fact is both people, it's not even it's a disregard. The problem is I don't know what the proper clinical terminology is.
Well,
but my point is, it's not, the sociopaths are not any less non-emotional than psychopaths. I don't believe that's correct.
I believe you're mistaken.
I don't. I believe it's simply that sociopaths have better impulse control and more better planning. So it's like they're the ones who are able to actually think through their actions. Now, that doesn't make them do any less heinous things. It just means that they are able to do, in some ways, that makes them more dangerous because they can do heinous things and while getting away with them.
But the point is, it's because they feel emotion that even.
I don't agree with that assessment. I think you're saying that so as to say, therefore, it's the emotion that makes them sane.
No. What I'm saying is,
how do I get out of here?
I'm defending what you had kind of as your final assertion was that emotion and, because I actually said at the very end, emotion and logic work together, and obviously they have to communicate to one another. However, you cannot have either be isolated, otherwise there's problems. And you were like, yeah, but logic could be isolated. And it's like, well,
yes, but I didn't suggest that would be the ideal. I simply said it could be.
No, I'm saying it actually can't be.
But I think that's based on your definitions of the difference between psychopaths and sociopaths, which I don't agree with.
But you can actually look that up. That is a place where I believe you to be mistaken.
I don't. So you'll have to prove that to me.
Okay, you can look at the.
Okay, well, so you're putting the onus on me then to agree with you.
No,
do the research and you'll agree with me.
Okay.
How about you give me the research and convince me?
As well, but the point is, psychopaths.
I've done research on this because I find it interesting. But the point is,
that is a distinction. I feel like that is important. Whether you feel like it's drawing
because I think
a distinction.
I think you're attributing to. First off, I don't think. Okay, I don't really.
It's why they don't bother covering their tracks at all, whereas psychopaths do, is because there's not even a self-preservation element in it.
Well, now you flipped between psychopaths and sociopaths.
No,
again.
I have not.
You did.
Psychopaths are the ones that don't feel emotion, so therefore they go.
Yeah, but see, that's where I'm disagreeing. I don't think your definitions are correct. Because I think both people, it's not a matter of one slightly feels emotions and the other one doesn't feel them at all. I think both are equally impaired, and it's just that one retains a certain level of logical sanity that enables them to continue their actions for longer. Whereas psychopaths generally, and I'm not sure which is which because every time I look it up, it gets reversed. But usually the way I hear it is that sociopaths are the ones who are more in control of themselves, but that they're still ambivalent towards the feeling and emotions of others. They don't care. They don't consider them same. It's the same thing. It's just that they are more logically astute. Psychopaths are driven.
Psychopaths tend to be more manipulative and calculated, often exhibiting a superficial charm. While
so it is. So, but see that.
While psychopaths are more impulsive and erratic in their behavior, but psychopaths generally lack empathy entirely and true conscience, while sociopaths may have a limited capacity for empathy.
Where are you getting this from?
But a rudimentary sense of morality. I'm saying this is a general.
Well, but where are you getting that from? Because I have heard the opposite. I've also heard they flip sociopaths and psychopaths. This is why it's a difficult thing to study.
Although sociopaths and psychopaths are often interchangeable and may overlap, each one has its own clear distinction. For example, sociopathy is an unofficial term for antisocial personality disorder, while psychopathy is not an official diagnosis and is not considered a anti-personality disorder.
I've never heard before. I have heard that antisocial personality disorder is a fundamental part of both. That's what I have heard before.
They said it's not.
So that's where. But see, this is where I don't trust.
Sociopaths are generally. I'm giving you a lion's share of like tons of things.
Well, no, I'm saying. Well, I'm saying what. But my point is.
Psychopaths are generally more clearly aligned with symptoms of APD, but psychopaths can cross over with these characteristics as well. And then it says, sociopaths is a term to use often arbitrarily to describe someone who is apparently without conscience and hateful, whereas the term psychopathy is used to convey... What?
Where am I going? I thought I just came from here. I'm confused.
Psychopaths are classified as people with little to no conscience, but are able to follow social conventions when it suits their needs. Sociopaths have a limited, albeit weak, ability to feel an empathy and remorse.
I don't trust whatever you're reading now, or
Okay, you can.
because the fact of the matter is,
continue reading. If
well,
you
but my
want
point
various
is,
things.
well, but my point is that I have. Every time I have tried to resolve this by research, I have found some different source says the opposite of everything else. So I find
Okay.
I would
Except that
I would
there
expect
is a consensus within
No.
psychology books that are not back
no
and
what
forth.
okay except what are you're not reading psychology books,
No,
you're
but I'm
reading
saying
internet searches.
there is a consensus. It's not so
Well, okay,
just
but
because the
where-
internet is not a valuable resource.
Well, yeah, but,
for that.
that's how you're accessing these things. So when you say there's
Because that's what I
consensus, the
have
internet is what's
readily
telling.
available to me right now.
No, you're looking at the internet.
So I'm saying that's what I have readily available.
Well, but
to
that's
me
my
right now.
point.
I
Is
have-
that's precise? That's all I'm saying. Is I don't, because of how volatile the internet is about this one specific topic, and how inconsistent it is. I would rather cite these psychological sources directly, which you're not doing. You're citing the internet,
So
which
what
may or
you-
may
what
not be
I'm
referring to
hearing
those
is that
sources.
You don't want to continue this discussion until I actually have books directly to actually say, hey, here's my bibliography for this.
Well, in a way, yes, because this
Okay,
is a
that's
contentious
fine.
issue.
My point
Every
is-
time I've tried to get to the bottom of it myself, I have found someone who says the opposite of what everyone else previously said.
Okay, well, that's fine.
But my point is, this is new. I've never heard the distinction that both of them, like as far as I've ever heard, APD is a crucial part of both diagnoses.
100%.
And this is
But
saying that
the
one of them's not
distinction
even a
is-
true diagnosis, which I've also never heard.
The point is, both of them, it is a clear part of both of them. However, one of them is distinct in that there's no emotion versus little.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. I have not heard that before, and I don't know that I would fully agree with it.
Well, okay. Until you see actual
Well, yes, until documentation that is
even
not
if
from
you
the
see
internet.
Documentation, you
No, internet, not non-internet based
okay,
documentation.
that's great, but I don't have that right this moment,
Okay.
so that's fine.
But
I'm
in
just
either
saying-
case, I would still disagree with the assessment that, well, it's emotion that gives them the little edge of sanity that allows them to behave logically. I don't think that's correct. I don't think, even if what you're saying is true, I don't think that would be a correct assessment. Now, here's the question. Will this be too dangerous to use? Yes. No, it won't. Screw. Okay, so the back claw will tear this place down, but this thing, which presumably works via the same technology, won't. That's dumb. I should go get the Riddler thing. What am I doing?
According to the plans I have on file, you have 3 control rooms.
Because the point is, I don't think having emotion leads to having logic. I think they are separate. The idea that a sociopath / psychopath, whichever is
suggesting-
which,
I'm
can.
not suggesting emotion leads to logic.
Well,
I'm
you're
not-
saying that one of them is more impulsive and illogical because of the fact that they don't even bother to cover their tracks or do things
Correct.
that would be within their own interests. And you're saying, or you're at least suggesting, that it's the fact that the one of them who has at least slight emotional control, their slight emotional control is what allows them to do that. And it's like,
their sense of moral understanding. Yes.
I don't
again.
think I agree.
Well, okay.
In either case, though, I forget.
So that, to me, if, and again, all I'm doing is using you as a.
Punching back.
Wow.
I'm not attacking you.
If
I'm being honest.
Wow.
I'm joking.
If I'm using you as essentially a caricature, if I can.
Oh, thank you.
of-
So, okay, so punching back wasn't
stoicism.
even that all.
No, of stoicism
Whoa.
because I don't have enough of an actual understanding of it myself. So I say, okay,
bugs.
if your perspective is the Stoic perspective.
Well, I'm not, okay.
then
When
I
it
say,
comes to
okay,
when I was saying that, I think logic could.
what is happening there? What did you say about being plucked?
I don't know. Are you curious?
Well, when she talks like that.
I'm not at all suggesting that my assessment that
Don't open
logic,
your
a person of pure logic without emotion
Polyps.
could, I never said they would live a healthy life. I simply said they could live a more functional life than
And
a
I
person
think
without
that
reason.
Neither is functional.
Because even what you've even in some ways agreed, because regardless of whether or not, I mean, fundamentally, I would disagree with your assessment that it's their capacity for emotion that leads them to have better reasoning. But the point that you've said is one of them, it lacks not only emotion but also reason because they behave impulsively and without.
All right.
You don't need to go this way. This is where we came from. So by your own expression, by saying what you've said, one of them also lacks reason in addition to lacking emotion. Now, you might try to draw the extrapolation that lacking the emotion is what leads them to lack reason. Maybe that's the case, maybe it isn't. But my point is the reason they behave illogically is because they're irrational.
What I'm saying is that they are interconnected and not able to be distinct.
I think that is a step more than what
the Stoic mindset would be.
No, I'm saying I think that's a step beyond what the evidence suggests. I think that is an assumption that has not yet been proven. It may well be the case, but I'm simply saying it does not follow necessarily, is my point. But anyways, that's not a part of the Stoic mindset at all. I'm not. So if you're,
that's the part that I'm guessing.
I was simply saying that reason, because in some ways I'm arguing from a rationalist perspective, not a Stoic perspective necessarily. Like, I was simply saying that I do think the reason is the chief amongst them is because it could be relied upon on its own if it had to be. I never said that would be ideal or even good, but that it could. This is where we came from. Okay. Oh.
He's going to get shut inside the door, too. Interesting.
But anyways, so I had
okay.
Are we done with this, or
We're
are we
getting to a place where that's not even? I'm sorry, you're not wearing underwear.
I said the point. That's what I said. It was weird that they'd make her wear the shirt, but not insist on any kind of pants. You're gonna have to wear at least something. Take your pick, bottom or top. We don't actually care. I mean, some of us do, but we won't enforce it. I mean, it's about 50-50, honestly. If you ask, so it depends on who you ask.
Why didn't you ask?
So this actually was the way I was supposed to go. I was wrong. Anyways, are we done? Or do you have any actual, do we want to?
You said it may lead to some other discussion.
Well, it does, but are we done with the Stoic?
I mean,
what about it? I guess. What
again,
about it?
That is the biggest rub for me, is because I think they're interconnected and that there's a necessity.
Yeah, but okay, but that's not a Stoic thing, though.
But okay. Forgive me.
If you're taking me as the well, yeah, you are caricaturing me, but I don't think I'm necessarily the arch Stoic because I'm also a bit more of a rationalist.
Well, that's what I was doing.
So it's like but I don't think my Stoicism and my rationalism are necessarily interconnected. I think there are probably people who are more non-rational. I don't mean that in the sense of irrational.
No, I hear what you mean.
Philosophically speaking, they wouldn't describe themselves as rationalists, who could also describe themselves as Stoics. Potentially, I don't know.
I don't know who those would be. I'd be interested to read.
Well, I mean, if you want to know about Stoicism, you just have to read the Stoics. Sure. Don't go asking me. All you'll get is my interpretation of the Stoics. The thing that makes me curious is that you were not just like, oh, I haven't read about it. You're like, no, I don't think it's right. And that's what I was curious about. It's not that I don't think it's
right. It's that I do take issue with the fact that seems to be, by and large, a commonality. Again, it's not that they say, oh, emotion's always bad. And I've never thought that of Stoics. I think that there is a comfortability with less emphasis or dismissing altogether.
Well, but see, then
the need to look at emotion as a part of philosophical ideal anyway. And that's where I go, I think it has to be a component.
Well, I don't know that they would.
And that's all. I mean, it's possible that it is, and I just am not looked into it enough. But this is where I go, as of right now, I'm kind of sitting in a bit of an Aristotelian rhetorician, I suppose, more than anything.
Okay. Can I pull this wall down too with my batroids? I can. That's absurd. Batman can pull down concrete walls. Hi.
What did you guys think would happen just standing right in front of me?
I find this stupid. There you go. Off with you. Okay, so that guy's probably dead. Again, Batman doesn't kill directly. Hi. Would you like to carry on your conversation? I have some things to say. I'd like to say them directly to your teeth. I don't know. because the other thing is, I fall into stoicism probably more naturally because I am already a less emotional person than you. So stoicism to me is more, obvious, I guess you could say, or it comes more comfortably or naturally. I don't think, however, that means you have to be like me to be a stoic. I think because it's a matter of practice and, excuse me, how is this not a subject detected? It is a matter of applying philosophical principles, whether you come across them easily or not. So I think anyone could be a stoic. Oh, okay, it's just a map. Anyone could be a stoic so long as they were willing to accept the precepts, whether you're a more emotional person or not. Now that does get into the topic I did want to discuss, because I think as I was reviewing the last tape, or edit, I should say, since it wasn't actually a tape, I couldn't. You shied away from it when I pushed on you, but I still kind of got the sense.
I thought it was a Poison Ivy fan.
Well, that potentially. I got the sense, because you said the way you argued and even some of the phrases you used were, you had this notion that emotion was like the fundamental thing in life that we interact with. And then you backed away from it when I pushed on it, but I get the sense from the way you were arguing that was still something you felt to be true. And so that's what I wanted to get down to.
Which is what?
Well, whether or not you think that's true. It seemed as though you were of the opinion that, like, the primary thing we interact with as human beings is emotion. That is, on a direct sensory level, that's what
we experienced.
Okay, but I suppose that's... Well, qualify that then, because I think that's similar.
That's different to interaction. Interaction,
well, how,
to me,
experience and interaction, what's the difference?
Well, this is, again, what comes down to interconnectedness. You can interact on a language level and say, okay, I've had a conversation with somebody and have little
How is that
to no
not
emotion
experience, though?
Because your experience is a...
Because surely an experience is anything you are a party to. I mean, you experience a car crash by either watching it or being in it. Like that's a.
But what is? But again, what is?
Well, but see, that's my point. Is it seems like you would say, well, a car crash is first and foremost a traumatic event.
It's not that it's
therefore
traumatic.
If you didn't experience the trauma,
but what is informing your experience of the event is how you were framed in the.
How you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean.
Well, see, I wouldn't necessarily agree. Because that implies that
you can think post experience about it, and that can be a logical experience, but
this is going poorly. Well, I got hung up on a pole is why. Batman couldn't resist the urges. He got taken back to his days as a young youth needing money. I wouldn't agree with that assessment that it's like you don't experience something unless you are experiencing the emotions of it, and otherwise...
It's not that you don't experience something at all. Again, you can retroactively experience something.
No, because then I think that's a cop out where you're just really saying, well, you could. He just couldn't find his feet after that. He's not done though. Okay, neither are they. Soon you will be though.
Okay.
So all these guys are armed, evidently. But then that means that by your definition, a car crash is an emotional event first. It is not.
That is how you frame and process that event.
I don't agree.
Okay.
That seems like an axiom. How do you defend that statement, other than just that is the way it is?
No, I'm not. I'm not defending it right now. What I'm saying.
I'm asking you to defend it.
Okay. What I'm getting at is that
Heavens. Let's hope let's just hope that that's not getting picked up.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Pipe observation window. What? That's weird.
Even, again, and I got at this, which I don't have any, again, ability to furnish you with the particular article I was reading, but the idea of
there's a lot of guys.
Of the, what is it called? The micro passions or whatever they are, that even those that prefer and give special attention to logic have a interaction with emotion. Would you not agree?
I mean, you're saying you'll experience emotions whether you want to or not. Is that all you're saying?
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Yes. I mean, you
mean,
are going to have an emotional reaction to a car crash.
Yeah, okay. But I don't think that means that the emotions are the inherent thing in the car crash.
They are not the only thing. Sure.
No, okay, the primary thing then. Because you're suggesting that they are. That
If
first and
I-
foremost, a car crash is an emotional event, and it is secondarily a physical event.
No, I don't know that I would not say that that's what I was saying. Again, I was saying interconnectedness. It says that emotion is going to be present.
But is that the core of the experience? Because what I'm getting at is someone like me could experience a car crash, and I won't say that I won't feel emotions, but emotions are certainly not what I'm going to take away.
Well, again, that's a post-event context, whether or not it's seconds.
Yeah, but what I mean by that is it's about how you define it in your experience. So when I describe the experience, I don't know that my first thought would be to describe the emotions. I think I would describe what happened.
Well, that's fair, but that doesn't. Again, that's because of the fact that you are putting
I want him.
precedent on
I want him. Let me get him.
apparently the guy that you want.
Well, yes, because he's the only one accessible to me right now.
Got the diddler Batman.
I don't know where I am going.
You are putting precedent on the
what I-
logical framework, which is fine. But the point is,
well, but
that is-
it seems as
that
though you're
is
suggesting
by-
that's almost like a coping mechanism. Like,
No,
well, you're
no,
doing
I'm-
that after the
no,
fact
no, I'm
to
not
deal with
suggesting
the
that at all.
emotions you don't want to express.
No, I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm just saying some people obviously are going to put precedent on the logic, and other people are going to put precedent on the emotion. But it doesn't change the fact that the emotion was present, and that you are not.
But you're saying that the
specifically
experience is
choosing to-
defined by the emotion, whether the person wants to not or not. That's how it sounded like you were saying, is that experience is the real thing, even if you don't put the emphasis on it yourself.
No, I don't know that. I mean, you can have a logical thought about an event and go, "Oh, I could have done this differently, or I could have done that differently," in a car crash, and that could be the way that you experience it. Sure, but that, to me, that they're two different realms that are again interplaying, not demanding that there be supremacy to one. Does that make sense? I suppose it depends on the person. Again, some people are going to go, "Well, yeah, I felt fear, or I felt anger, or I felt, confusion," but that's not the way they specifically describe the event. They're going to then frame it as this is what happened, and here's the way that I responded. And that's fine, whereas other people are going to...
Well, so you're conceding then that emotions are not the primary thing we interact with. They're just one of them.
Yes, that's true.
Ooh. Is there a way I can get somebody to stand underneath this? Are you coming in here? Oh, wait, I need the thing. I need my explosives. No, stay there, stay. I missed him. Well, I can leave that there for later.
Does it drop on top of him?
Well, I imagine it would, but he'd have to stand underneath it to make that work, which he is not doing. So, okay then, that's
So
all
again, it's the interplay that I'm really getting at, even in the whole argument within the context of stoicism and the idea of emotion and logic, is that they are both valid and important. They play roles in how we frame life,
That guy's
and
going to go stand under it.
they by design work together.
I missed him again. Oh, I still got him. I feel like that was the game being generous because I don't think he was. I
They
don't
were
think he
like,
was really
let's-
close enough to make
Let's
that
give the
work.
bat a bone.
I don't think he was close enough for that, but I'll take it. I mean, I guess it was an explosion. I guess he doesn't have to have been close to have been injured by it. So those two guys are hanging out together. So I won't be able to get either of them.
Can you where?
That is a lot of water leaking, guys.
Can you go through the vent and come out right there next to the stairs?
Is that where that vent leads? I don't know. Those two guys aren't leaving.
Well, but that guy's off by himself now.
Well, I mean, he is right next to his friends, but I can probably get him down before they... Help! 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 I mean, I wouldn't call that disappearing. I'm more flailed. Come on, get on the thing. Get on the thing, Batman! Did he see me do that? He probably should have. All right, well, at least I got him out of that room. So there's 3 of you now. Well, clearly that thing was making a difference because now that it's off, it is getting uncomfortable in here again. Well, so then perhaps it's not as much of a discussion as I thought because it seemed, I thought maybe you'd push back more on that and sort of double down.
No, I mean I think that again by preferentially I probably tend
Well, yeah,
to
subjectively, I imagine you would say that that's the case for you,
yeah.
but you wouldn't apply that to other people.
But I also wouldn't say that logic is somehow absent from that experience either. Does that make sense, I suppose?
Ow, you son of a gun! Well, he is a son of a gun. He was quick about it. I thought he was looking the other way. I was close. There was only 2. Golly, it's getting warm again. Well, it's a shame.
It's a shame that it's getting warm again, or it's a shame that
Yes.
you died.
Well, both, I suppose. Well, then I guess maybe I thought maybe there would be more of a disagreement at the underlying heart of that. But I suppose if you're conceding that it's on a personal level, you would say that, but that you wouldn't apply that to all people. It seemed as though you were kind of subconsciously applying that to all people, as though like your frame of reference was, you were taking your frame of reference to be like the standard, which would be a normal thing to do. But if you're conceding that that's not the case, and then I guess that there's
I
not
would
much
say
of it.
that-
There's not as much
I
a
would say that
disagreement.
obviously logic, again, logic and emotion are present in that interaction. I mean, a car crash is a good example because it's very intense, obviously, but it's again, I think I said this in the previous discussion, it's the thinking fast and slow concept. You have both sides of your brain for a reason. I mean, there's gonna be the very, what is it called? Oh my, what was the prompt it gave me? Oh, climb?
Yes, you should get out of the vents, presumably. Oh, it's hot. Well,
I'm trying to.
so I guess that's not as much of a loaded topic as I thought it might be.
Well, but it does. I mean, again, the thinking fast and slow framework is actually useful to my.
Sure, but I think that there is an element of even
Which one is the one that grabs
Some-
the bat claw or the ultra bat claw or whatever? It is?
you only have one. What are you talking about? Well, you're not gonna be able to hurt him.
I can
Okay.
yank him up here though.
No, you can't.
Oh, come
You're not
on!
gonna yank him the whole way. I mean, you knocked him over. That I suppose would be useful for distracting people, but he's gonna get back up.
Come on, where are you? Ah, the hell with this.
Gosh. Yeah, it's very warm.
I had additional.
Oh,
Stuff.
because you were talking about what you were talking about, that the book.
The thing
I
in
think
fast and
because
slow
there would be people who I think, perhaps people who are less, I don't know what the word to use would be that isn't insulting. Some people could get into a car crash and basically panic
sure.
and make things worse. And some people could, even in the midst of the crash or in the midst of the sort of the lead up to the crash, there could be a certain level of resolve that they engage that enables them to maneuver it better than...
But that comes more down to a fight or flight response, which actually...
Not necessarily. That's also a matter of... there's a certain mental resilience you can practice that will take over in such an instance.
Well, yes, but that is you controlling fight or flight. That is what that is.
Well, no. Fight or flight is just your default reaction. I'm saying, if you are someone who can handle a stressful situation because you have, I guess, mentally toughened yourself, ooh, the guy's coming, then you will react in that situation. I think he sees you.
Does he? Okay.
Either that or he was bluffing. Okay, that guy sees you. Well, you're just going to sit.
I know, I'm opening
You're just a
it.
fish
That
in a
was
barrel.
Stupid. I was literally pushing A and it wouldn't
They're
open.
shooting a bat in a vent.
I salute all an enemy.
So that, I think, it's like practicing controlling your reactions will actually make you more controlled even in something that would otherwise be a potentially traumatic or emotionally...
Well, I agree.
So it's like, it's not even that, well, everyone's going to feel the panic at first and then some people are going to react better than
that's
others. It's
true.
like, well, no, some people I think will just by default, maybe not by default, by training or other factors of their own psychology will react differently.
Sure.
And thus, again, I don't think you can say that, well, everyone's going to react the same, and it's just after the fact, some people will frame it differently.
No. Not everybody reacts the same, certainly, but
Well, because I recall getting into an accident once, which actually when I was done, I was actually more annoyed than anything, because what happened was it was rainy day and I was on the highway, and I felt essentially like the hydroplaning thing start, where it's like, okay, I can tell that I've lost traction.
yeah.
But because I know how to handle a car in that instance, for several seconds, like for a good 5 straight seconds, I was like sort of skidding back and forth within my lane, hoping that I would regain traction before anything went awry.
Sure.
And I never got traction back and eventually started to slide into the next lane. And I was annoyed because I was like, mentally, I handled that exactly the way I should have. I didn't freak out. I reacted exactly the way I should have to control the car. Well, no, I was annoyed after the fact because I still got into the accident. I was like, the insurance people aren't going to care how well I handled that. They're still going to say, well, you still hit the guy.
True.
So it was more, my annoyance wasn't in the moment. My annoyance was more due to the fact that I was like, I'm still going to have to pay for this on the insurance front. Because regardless of how well I handled this, they don't care. I still hit the guy.
Right.
But my point is, some people, their immediate reaction would have been fear and panic, and I didn't actually feel much fear at all.
No, that's
because
fair.
of the fact that I knew how to control it. Now I was annoyed that it still didn't work. Like after
Sure.
several seconds, I was like, there's traction's not coming. So
Well, but again, it's not that you didn't experience emotion at all. It's that you experienced different emotion that maybe other people.
yeah, but like, okay, but see, that's, I guess, the other issue that is, when we get into the question of like what qualifies as emotion, what emotion did I feel? Because I honestly
Annoyance.
couldn't tell you. No, I didn't feel annoyance in the moment. I'm describing that as an after the fact.
Okay,
I'm
but
describing my annoyance was at the
As you were
insurance.
realizing that you could not control the vehicle, that was obnoxious.
Yeah, but I don't know that is annoyance an emotion?
Yeah, I would say so. You're certainly not. That's not a logic question.
I suppose. I don't know.
see,
Annoyance
that's-
feels nebulous.
Again, I think it is neat and tidy to put them in the fast and slow context.
Well, okay, how do you apply that in this case then? Because that isn't what I was
Fast and
getting
slow is your fast is reaction. Your slow.
at. Yeah, but my
is-
reaction was actually non-emotional, at least from my
Sure.
perspective. Now you're going to try and say I had some kind of emotion, and I don't know what it was if I did.
Well, again, it was.
I suppose, even then, if I was to define what happened in my mind, what was going through my mind as that happened, it was not, oh, I felt something. It was, I guess you could call it like a heightened awareness.
Sure.
But it's like I could tell that the car was losing traction and that I needed to do something about that. But it was not like, I didn't really feel fear.
No, I wouldn't say. But see, you're acting like fear is the only.
Well, it's the only, I mean, I suppose it's the emotion that you might feel is the obvious
Sure,
one.
that seems
but that
like
isn't what it was, and so I don't know what you would describe it. Because I don't know, I'm genuinely saying I don't know what emotion it was if you insist that I felt one.
Well, I don't know that.
I won't deny, I suppose, I guess I can't deny that I might have, but I don't know what it was.
Well, sure.
So that's, again, the question is, I'm saying...
If I had to posit, I would probably say there was a degree of confidence first, and then annoyance.
Is confidence an emotion?
Well, I mean...
I don't feel like confidence is an emotion. Because, I mean, now we're getting to...
Again,
we're
it's
starting to
certainly
split
an
hairs between
experience.
what's the difference between an emotion and just a state of mind. Is calm an emotion? I don't think it is. Oh, I might be able to get two guys out if they go in there together.
Again, on a scientific level, I know emotion is a chemical reaction. in
Well,
your
but
brain,
everything your body does is a chemical
but see,
reaction.
that's what I'm getting at. But I mean, there's
well, that's my
different-
point. Is what's
there's
the difference
different-
between a state of mind and an emotion?
There's
Then
that would be a question for something like a neurologist, because there's actually different spots in the.
this might
hippocampus
just
that
work for
react.
two. Boom! All right, that
Oh,
made that
both
easy.
of them died. Okay.
Well, I hope. Don't tell Batman that. No, wait, no. I didn't do that right. I wanted to glide kick him because he was probably on his own. Those two guys are just content to watch everyone in their friend group die.
Well, I found the other thing I was going to talk about. It's a bit of a divergence, but we don't have much of a time frame left. So,
Well, how quick can you get through it?
I mean, it's not going to be super long. I came across a painting that I wasn't sure whether you were familiar with by Franz Sedlexic, maybe.
That doesn't sound
Called
familiar.
Ghosts in a Tree. And
I wouldn't
really
know it by
enjoy
that name.
It literally is like vultures, but as you actually look closer, they're people.
Vultures with
They're
human
sitting-
faces, or just
They're like almost skeletonish. But I really appreciated the kind of macabre of it, as well as I don't know, there's something almost, I resist using the word spiritual, but it's,
well, surreal certainly.
yeah. Anyway, I appreciated that. I don't know that there's a particular branch of art that deals with that.
Dadgummit.
Because obviously within the...
Screw you, pal. You know what? You die today. Oh, well, the problem is all those gargoyles are too close together, so swinging from one to the other doesn't actually distract them. Surrealism is the best word I could describe, and that's a very broad one because that
Yeah, but
covers a
isn't
lot
that
of
just
things.
not... Yeah, that's just not...
Well, surrealism is non-realism, or super realism is technically what it officially
But I've heard a
means.
lot of things described as surrealism.
Well,
and
because it's
they're
broad. It's like
less-
abstract art. Like a whole lot of things can be considered abstract.
Right. And that's when I get into, like, there's parts of abstract art that I actually hate. But that one, for me, is interesting because the fact that the kind of... What is it called? The
I'd lay the bomb in there again because you might get the chance of taking
So,
out a double again.
Where did you put it?
No, it was in there. Where you were going. On this concrete here. There's if you want to refine the niche, then what? So for someone like Beksinski, if you've heard that name, who's a famous painter of similar kinds of things, his are even more strange than that, I would say. That's often referred to as like Gothic surrealism, because it's more, or like I don't know if there's another term for it. That's the only term I've ever heard used to describe it, where it's, because surrealism is in many ways, it's like abstract, where it's not so much a category of art, it's more of a technique. No, maybe that's not the right word. It's, I guess you could broadly call it a style, but that feels so unhelpful for the point of conversation. Is he on his own? I'd get him if he's on his own. Just glide kick him. Well, I meant to say you should check that he's on his own before you do it, but get him! Get on the ground! You have to get on the ground when they're on the ground. You can't just punch the air. You're still punching the air! Well, now they're gonna see you do that. That's not gonna help.
Oh, okay. I thought, see, to me, the argument is gargoyles should protect you.
No. Why?
Yes, because they can't shoot through a freaking concrete
You're standing on
gargoyle.
top of it. They don't have to shoot through it. They just need to shoot above it, because that's where you are.
Maybe, I don't know.
Because yeah, like abstract art is essentially, it's, I don't know how you describe it, to be honest. It's such a, I don't know how you describe surrealism either. But the point is, they're both ways, it's more about the way in which you represent something. Screw you, pal. All right, can I, I'd like to restart my turn. Nope, just take me. That was really pathetic. I timed that atrociously.
Someone help that baby up off the floor.
I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, it's both. They're both ways of portraying the subject matter that don't have to do with style. Because you could do abstract art in different styles. You could do surrealism in different styles. It's just a matter of how you represent the thing you're painting or representing. And so the Beksinski type stuff is it's surrealism, but it's also a sort of macabre. Okay, well, there's
Seriously,
two of
guys?
them. There's double team. Now you have to knock them both out because they're both on the ground and they will get up. Well, now you're on the ground and you won't get up.
I'd like to thank my family
So yeah, I don't know what else, how you describe it.
and the people of Gotham.
I just came across it and thought it was an interesting, because I obviously on a literary level I like that kind of stuff within Poe and
Well, the dark macabreness.
yeah, but I don't know. There was something about that particular one that
It is very, very hot in here. Well, yeah, I can't help you. I'm not a art historian, so I'm afraid I don't know the various movements that would fall into artistically.
yeah. There was another one. I'm sorry. I'm trying to look up.
Oh, bad times, bad ideas. That guy totally saw me come up here, but I appreciate him playing along and being a good sport. He totally could have opened fire on me, but he didn't, so thank you, kind sir.
Hold up, I'm coming with you.
Okay. We're going to do better this time.
Wait up, I'll watch your back.
All right, well, they're teaming up now, which is good, and I can't use this gargoyle for hanging people again. Well,
I want you to hurt these guys. They're nothing.
I don't know. I had some very minor topics too, but I don't know that they'll actually be of much worth. You ever watch Cowboy Bebop?
I have not. I know about it, but
I finally started because it was like, it's one of those things that's a classic that I was like, I probably should watch this for the sake of, cultural understanding. And I get why it's good. I can understand the fame that it has garnered. I suppose the only way this could turn into perhaps a topic worth discussing is the one criticism, it's not really a criticism, more of a minor preference, I suppose, is that I don't love I should absolutely be able to get him from here. I don't love that it's just sort of every week is its own thing. Or I say every week. Obviously, I mean every episode, but that was back in a time when it was on TV. It's not exactly Monster of the Week. I guess you'd call it Bounty of the Week in that case. But it's just every week is a different thing. And I find that there's something about TV, or whatever terms we wanted to use in our previous conversation, short form serialized video narrative, that if you don't build from one episode to the next, I feel like you're not using the full potential of the medium. Because I don't know. Would you agree or not?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on your intent.
I suppose, but I feel like
Like in other words, if your intent is to create a isolated capsule in each episode, that's kind of what you have
I guess
modeled
my
in
point
the-
is, if that is your intent, my question would be why? Because that seems to be neglecting one of the useful features of the art form, is the fact that you can expand a story from one to the next.
Yeah, but sometimes that's not what
Oh, I only got one of them. That's not
that
fair.
particular show may be. I mean, like, there's no real way to, like, in a game show, for instance, each game is its own thing.
Well, the game show's not what I'm talking about, though, because that's not a narrative.
Well, yeah.
We're talking about short-form serialized video narrative. I did come up with, I suppose, a synopsis or a shortened version of that term, because I suppose, as I was thinking about it, the word episodic implies both the short form and the serialized. You could just call it episodic video narrative. And then it occurred to me that, well, you could shorten video narrative just to cinema, because that's what cinema already means.
Sure.
We're basically just describing the differences between episodic cinema versus, I guess, long form feature cinema.
Feature film.
So I feel like if you're not going to make full use of the episodic functionality, then I don't know why you wouldn't have just made, like, I guess I was going to say, why not just make a series of short
But that's
films, but I guess
that's what it is. I mean, it's
I guess it is that. I guess,
the
but then
classic like crime drama is that there is no like.
well, no, but see, a good crime drama like Monk has an overarching narrative throughout the whole
I
thing.
suppose.
So it's like, yes, every episode is technically its own thing, but there's also a broader story that gets built upon over the course of several
But it
seasons.
has become certainly popularized to have shows that don't specifically build off of that within crime drama, and they're just repeated. Like, here's the story this week. They're going to be doing this.
I don't feel like that's as popular these days, though. I think that was an older thing. Because back in the days
I
of
suppose,
back
like
in the
Perry
olden days
Mason.
of TV, the reason they did stuff like that is because you couldn't guarantee that you'd have the same audience from week to week.
Yeah.
So they had to do that's why it's called Monster of the Week, even though it's not always a monster. It's just the plot of the week, I guess you could say. Because the argument is you don't know who's watching this week. And certainly once streaming became more of a thing, the expectation that people would be able to follow from one plot to the next meant that they started to increase the plots from one to the next. It's like, because they could rely on having a consistent audience, they were able to expect you to follow along over a longer course of time. So I feel like it is actually an older school thing to have just non-connected episodes.
Which, to me, is indicative of how people interact with TV now. Because it used to be that it was like, yeah, I'll watch an episode of this, but I'm not like dedicated to it.
I suppose, but I think you can do more with the... Whoa, okay, where'd you guys come from? You're new. You can do more with the... you can make greater use of the art form by doing that, I guess, is my point.
Well, that's true.
So I
But if
suppose...
the audience wasn't there for it, then it wouldn't have been effective either way. Even if they would have been able to make more effective use of a story in a longer form context.
Well, now you're letting the audience dictate what you do, though.
Well, but that's been the case for a long while.
I think the good art generally kind of dictates to the audience. It just says, here's what we're about, and whether you like it or not, it's up to you. But we're going to do it this way. I think pandering to the audience too much generally is what leads to worse art. Because an artistic creation really has to be... It has to come from someone has to have an idea that they want to communicate.
Yeah.
And so if they're too concerned about whether or not the audience wants that, then they won't be able to communicate what they feel they need to communicate effectively. So, I don't know. Anyways, that's the only real criticism I have of it, is I don't love that it's just all the episodes are disconnected, because it feels like you could get to know each. I mean, I suppose you get to know the characters through our episodes, anyways. I don't know. It just doesn't. I find that when the episodes don't build to something, it sort of just feels like it's a bit of a popcorn type experience where it's like, yeah, it's fun while you're doing it, but then when you're not doing it, it's like you don't. When you're not engaging with it, you sort of forget about it. I guess that's what I mean by the popcorn thing. It's like it's pleasant while it lasts, but then it doesn't last long.
Right, it's not sustaining.
Whereas I think stories that build over time kind of stick with you more, I think.
Sure.
I don't know where I'm supposed to go now because I did the thing okay. I'm supposed to leave and go to a different spot, it would seem. So anyways, that's really the only meat I thought could be milked from that topic, if you can milk meat in any way. It's just.
Well, here's a one.
But perhaps do you agree with episodic? Can we agree with episodic cinema?
Sure.
I suppose that works because it actually is like cinema's already a term we use. So just referring to it as episodic cinema rather than we're not creating a whole new term, we're just expanding on a term that already exists.
Right.
Can I pull down this wall?
I have a brief, actually passing topic that will be good for the next, 5 minutes?
I mean, we can go as long as we choose. You can just make it a slightly longer episode.
Well, I probably need to.
Especially, it's not a bad idea to round it out over the hour, just because that way we can.
So I don't know at what point in society we have failed, but we have
already is the answer.
We have gotten to a place in which I came across this, and I can't quite wrap my brain around the amount of laziness.
Your bran?
Your brain.
You're trying to wrap your bran?
I've been trying to wrap my brand, my raisin brand.
It's not raisin brand. It's raisin bran. Okay. Too many guys with things I don't like. Is that what's wrong with society? Too many guys with things I don't like? I just pushed that man into that thing. That thing crushed him into a pulp.
I personally think it would be hilarious to do bran flakes that are just called brand.
Brand? Or... Oh, well, you got me. That was quite a jiggle physics on that ragdoll.
Okay, so this exists now. Is apparently a caffeinated squeezable beverage that is ramen.
Ooh.
And some sort of...
Ramen's not a beverage.
It's literally called boost noodles. And it's like literally ramen noodles mixed together with some sort of energy drink.
It's ramen noodles in a Go-Gurt pouch?
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, what kind of laziness is this?
This sounds like some Warhammer nonsense. Sounds like something you'd get from a dispensary when you clock out at the end of your shift.
What I'm getting.
Take your instant soup noodle, your instant squeezable noodles.
For me, immediately I got like,
what does that do? What the?
Okay.
I don't remember that ability. Did I unlock that? I must have. Well. Okay, that guy's shooting at you. I think your effectiveness is going to start seeing a dip.
Nope.
He's the stun stick. He's got the forget me stick.
Can I?
He's got the remember me stick. I suppose that's a decent distinction. The stun.
Why am I not?
The stun rod's the forget me stick. The knives are the remember me sticks. I mean, it's not the worst thing, I suppose, that exists in terms of instant consumable packaging, but I mean, it's a strange... The caffeinated part threw me off. I mean, ramen noodles in a tube doesn't sound pleasant anyways.
Bro.
And then again, I guess what food in a tube would sound good? I mean, Go-Gurt's about it. And even that, I don't really like. I'd rather just have a cup of yogurt than a... You're not dead yet. You were giving up the fight before it was done.
I thought that it was.
That was a lesson in perseverance, kids. Just because you're out of health doesn't mean you can't win the day. Now a good lie down would do you some...
Lie down.
Oh, okay, then you get all your health back. See, that's what you get, kids, when you push through. You get your health back.
Apparently get recharge.
That's right. If you jump off the roof and break your leg, just give it a minute. You'll be fine. Just push through. I think there was a hackable thingy on the other door. Oh, these are all hackable thingies. Well, that's unfortunate. But I suppose... is that all you expected to get from that? Was
Well, like it was just
another
really
example
just
of modernity being strange?
I suppose.
Well,
I thought it was
plenty,
hilarious.
plenty
to be
of
honest.
those.
Just one more to go.
Oh, one more. Oh. Are they both in this room? Well, that's convenient. Yay.
Pump 3 disabled. I'm going to head back up to the surface and track down Ivy.
Get in touch if you need anything.
All right, is it going to save? Can we get a save icon somewhere? Oh, we got upgrades. That usually is a good sign. Oh, well, yeah, there was a Riddler thingy over there, wasn't there?
Was there?
I thought there was earlier.
Oh. Okay.
It's got razor wire. You have to use the jump rope.
The jumper. Oh.
The rope thingy from the top.
Rope bill.
Although, is there anything up there? I guess I thought I saw something up there, but I don't know that I was right. Does not appear to be. Oh, that's what I saw. Well, I don't care about that as much. Well, so
Anyway,
yeah,
that was
strange,
just a goofy one.
strange things are happening to me.
Am I able to jump into that little wiffle wine?
I don't think so. Have you seen a save icon yet? I want to confirm that this is going to save before we...
Well, do we want to upgrade first?
Well, I
we
guess you might as
save?
well, since we got the points. I don't care for many of these upgrades at this point, to be honest. Although I suppose we could just get the armor
Military
upgrade again.
grade.
We already have that one. You can get another one. It always feels cheap to me going with the armor upgrade because it just sort of... Like, Batman's not supposed to be literally invulnerable, so I think armor kind of makes the game just generically easier. Like, tools and gadgets and unlock new ways of taking guys out. That feels like Batman appropriate, but just you take less damage feels like the cop-out. But since none of the rest of these are particularly inspiring...
So you want to just do that again?
That's what I would do, just because it seems the only thing. There's Batman on roids. Oh, we unlocked another version of Batman on roids. Well, what does the save icon even look like again? Isn't it a little bat symbol or something?
I don't recall.
Hey, you're gonna have to get up out of here. Get up out of that thing.
Okay, not the floor, you
Oh,
dope.
petty vandalism. I don't think that's an explodable wall. I think you just got to get out of here. Get up to where you were.
Is that what saves it?
Well, I think what will save it is just passing through the right door. Okay, so there you go. That's a save icon. I thought it was a bat thing. It's just a circle? Oh. All right, heads or tails? Is it going to be Harley or not?
No, it's going to be Ivy.
I'm not going to be that lucky. Oh, well. Well, we're going to tag the floor again. Petty vandalism with Batman. Well, we saved, so I suppose we can drop it whenever, but...
Well, let's at least see what's behind door number...
Well, there weren't any other doors.
I'm just talking about the women, you weirdo.
What?
Which woman it was going to be, and it was either Harley or...
But we already opened the box, so the doors didn't make any sense at that point.
Oh, is that... You thought...
I was saying she was going to be in the box.
No, I didn't realize that's what you were saying.
All right, well, now we've been locked out. Are we fizzling to an end, or are we going to end with a bang here?
Well, I don't...
Oh,
There's your bang.
it would seem a bang is incoming. Okay.
More roid men.
Well, that's what Batman gets. That's your roid PSA, fellas. Don't do roids, otherwise this will happen.
Okay.
Whoa,
this is
roids
as
and
good a
gangs.
time as ever to end.
Well, I don't know that I would agree. This seems like a bad time. I guess we could leave it on a suspense. Will Batman survive? Tune in next week to find out.
Probably not, based on how this is going.
Or stick around 5 minutes. The answer is no. What's in your soup? Oh gosh, I guess I don't know what's in my soup. I thought it was broth. It's broth. Gosh dang it. All right, well, good enough.